Well, hello and welcome to a brand new show, Newspresso, here on Moneycontrol with me, Nandita Khemka. Well, over the next few minutes, we are going to give you a lowdown on all the top stories from around the globe, insights from India, and also the latest trends, giving you an edge and keeping you informed ahead of others. So let's get straight to it and bring you all that we are getting from our global dispatch. Well, Wall Street clocks a third straight day of losses with the Dow slipping below 20 DMA. All three indices are on track for weekly losses. In fact, if you look at the 10-year Treasury yield, that has risen to its highest level since October, as minutes of the Fed's July meeting has suggested that more rate hikes could be on the anvil. Well, the Dow is on pace for its worst week since March, lower by 2.29% through Thursday. Meanwhile, the S&P 500 is headed for a third straight week of losses, a streak that hasn't happened since February. Fed's commentary in its July minutes signaling that further interest rate hikes are not off the table has spooked investors globally, and Europe was no different. Well, the pan-European stock 600 closed nearly 1% lower. In fact, industrial stocks fell nearly 3%, while tech stocks were down by somewhere around 2% or thereabouts. Basic resources and oil and gas were the only sectors that were in the green. Well, if you look at the Asian markets, they have also kicked off on the back foot as investors assess Japan's July inflation data and fresh blows to China's real estate sector. In fact, Japan's core inflation rate fell to 3.1%, down from 3.3% in the month of June. Headline inflation remained at 3.3%. Meanwhile, embattled Chinese real estate giant Evergrande has filed for bankruptcy in a U.S. bankruptcy court. The company has sought protection under Chapter 15 of the U.S. Bankruptcy Code, which shields non-U.S. companies that are undergoing restructuring from creditors. Now, all the major indices across Asia, including Nikkei and Kospi, are trading with cuts, while the GIFT Nifty is hinting at a lower start for the Indian markets. Well, let's also talk about Bitcoin then. That saw a sharp slide yesterday. In fact, it tumbled to close to $26,000, a sharp 9% cut. Now, the fall in Bitcoin followed after the Wall Street Journal reported that SpaceX, which is helmed by Elon Musk, wrote down the value of its Bitcoin holdings by a total of $373 million in 2022 and 2021, and that the space travel company had sold the virtual currency. Now, in a brand new development, New York has banned TikTok. India banned TikTok last year due to security concerns, and now American state governments are heeding to these worries. But New York has imposed this ban on government employees. Other citizens won't be restricted from using the app. Now, as per the directive, government employees must remove the app from the devices within 30 days. Earlier this year in May, US Montana also declared a ban on the app from next year. Well, let's also take a look at all the insights coming in from India then. Let's talk about the markets first. It was a range-bound. In fact, it was quite a weak session on the Lal Street, given the fact that the Nifty ended below that 19,400 mark, and the Sensex also slumped somewhere around 400 points or thereabouts. If you look at the mid and small cap, indices, they had rather outperformed the benchmark indices and ended the day in the green. Banks were an index that fared better than the other indices. But, if you look at some of the winners in trade, you had the likes of Titan and Adani Ports. Those were the top gainers on the Lal Street. But if you look at the bond markets, yields have spiked across the world, and fears over further rate hike, have left yields rising across the globe. In India, bond yields remained above that 7.2% mark, which is the highest level in the last 4 months. The rupee too has weakened against the dollar, breaching that $83 mark and ending at a fresh record low. Well, the RBI has noted that the inflation figures could average far higher than 6% in the current quarter. Remember, the RBI had revised the Q2 inflation forecast to 6.2% when it, declared its policy outcome this month itself. This is what the RBI noted in its monthly bulletin as well, adding that the incidence of supply shocks are not over. Hence, elevation in vegetable prices has extended into the first half of August, and hence, headline inflation is expected to average well above 6% in Q2. Now, comments in the article come after data released on 14th August showed that headline retail inflation has shot up to a 15-month high of 7.44% in the month of July, significantly higher than what economists were expecting, somewhere around 6.5% to 7% or thereabouts. The RBI bulletin has also warned of the shadow of El Nino stating that it continues to loom over the second half of the year and the outcome could impact food inflation in the Rabi season. Now, when you're talking about surging tomato prices, you can't not talk about Burger King because, it has, amid the tomato scarcity and surging prices, Burger King India has followed McDonald's and removed tomatoes from their menu. While some Burger King outlets have playfully noted that tomatoes need a vacation, we are unable to add tomatoes to our food. Now, heavy rains have led to supply crunch and food inflation has raised tomato prices up to 450%. Now, but seems like the problems of high tomato prices is not here to stay. Tomato prices are expected to fall drastically by the end of September. In fact, by mid-September, it could fall to as much as 30 rupees. Now, Himachal Pradesh has seen scattered rainfall since yesterday. IMD scientists said that there are 43% excess rainfall in Himachal Pradesh this year. As per IMD predictions, scattered rainfall is expected to continue for coming 4 to 5 days, after which there will be controlled rainfall until 25th of August. Meanwhile, rescue teams are trying airlifting people from flood-prone regions to safer zones. Now, apart from Himachal, even Punjab's Kapurthala district is under similar flood-prone conditions. NDRF teams have rescued over 300 people in Punjab already. Now, yesterday, Chandrayaan-3 hit another milestone. Its lander module successfully separated from the propulsion module. Now, with this, it has moved to the next step of touchdown on surface of the moon. The following lander module deorbit 1 maneuver is scheduled for 4 p.m. today. Now, the lander module will now descend into a lower orbit after a deboost. The soft landing of Chandrayaan-3 on the moon will be attempted on the 23rd of August. Well, let's also take a look at all that's trending at the current juncture. Indian singer Arijit Singh has achieved a remarkable milestone. He has gone on to solidifying his place as the third most followed artist on Spotify. Now, the achievement is no mean feat as he surpasses music sensations like Taylor Swift and Billie Eilish and many others to make it to this coveted spot. Now, Arijit Singh's soulful voice has captivated audiences worldwide, helping him to cement his position among global artists. Currently, the top spot on the list of most followed artists on Spotify is held by Ed Sheeran and followed by Ariana Grande. Well, if you are planning a vacation, then maybe you are in luck, given the fact that Air India has announced a 4-day sale on flights across domestic and international flights. The company is offering fares starting from 1470 rupees for economy and 10,130 rupees for business class on domestic routes. Now, international flights have similar fares. In fact, you can also avail special benefits if you book from airindia.com. Now, an added advantage is that no convenience fee will be applied during the sale period on selected routes and countries. But Air India has said that only limited seats are available under this offer and seats will not be reserved and will be given on first-come, first-served basis. Well, Pyramid Technoplast IPO opens today. India's first 3D printed post office building will be inaugurated today at 8:30 a.m. in Bangalore. Well, with that, it's a wrap on this edition of Newspresso. Hope this dose was useful and informative and gives you a kickstart to the day ahead. From the entire team that put the show together, thanks a lot for tuning in. Stay tuned because coming up next is Morning Trade.